I was only just going over this story with Ali Bracken in a podcast that was released this morning about what had happened so far in the hunt for this little boy in Donabate, who is at that point not being named. But there is developments today, and two things. Firstly, Gardaí have named this little boy. They've released a photograph of him, and they have revealed that there has been human remains found in a site in Donabate where they had been searching.
Yes, and I think it's while the child will still have to be identified through DNA and all the other tests that have to occur, I think the guards are satisfied that this, that this is Daniel Aruebose is his name, and very, very tragic. Just the
gorgeous little child in the picture.
Gorgeous little child,
yeah,
mixed race child, obviously.
Yeah. What age do they believe he was when he went missing?
Well, he would be 7 years old now.
So 3.
So sometime between the age of 3 and 4. Obviously, his father is originally from the west of Ireland, and his mother is of African origin, but had lived in Ireland all of her life, or nearly all of her life anyway. Certainly since she was maybe 1 or 2 years old. And yeah, the child has been named now. What guards have said was that they are continuing to investigate all the circumstances of the disappearance of Daniel Aruebose. But today, on Wednesday, An Garda Síochána has discovered the human skeletal remains of a child. They believe them to be the remains of Daniel Aruebose, and they're continuing to engage with the coroner in relation to the discovery of these remains.
So they went on then, the Gardaí, to say that the remains are going to be subject of careful and sensitive exhumation from the current burial site. And from speaking to Ali, the guards had been led to a particular area of ground in Donabate where this search has been going on for almost 2 weeks now. The statements that have been given to the police suggested that the parents discovered the child dead, basically, of natural causes in his bed in what has now been named as the Gallery Apartments in Donabate, County Dublin. The parents, the mother in particular, told the Gardaí that she had got up in the night and passed his room and went and noticed that he was freezing cold, and both parents sort of put him in a bath, first of hot water and then cold water. Realising he was dead, they put him in a hold-all bag and walked 3 kilometres from their home to this site where she said they had buried him. And she said they didn't bring any implements, with no spades, nothing. So they had literally just pulled at the waste ground to bury him. So it's a shallow grave without actually going down into the soil. So as a result, what Gardaí are saying that there's going to be a sensitive exhumation from the current burial site, because they will want to gather all forensic information they can from around there. Formal identification of the remains, the Gardaí have said, will now have to be carried out, including DNA analysis. And Daniel is known to have resided at the Gallery Apartments, Donabate, County Dublin. It's been a number of years since there's been any confirmed sighting of Daniel, who would now be 7 years of age. Now, at this point, the Garda investigation will shift a bit, because the absolute priority for the last couple of weeks, well, we've all been abhorred by this story, and the idea that any parent could bury a child in wasteland, carry them in a hold-all bag, their remains, and not ring an ambulance, etc. Now that they have what they believe to be the remains of the child, I think the investigation will shift completely. They're going to wait, obviously, to see what forensic DNA analysis will be the first thing to do to identify the child. And then there will have to be a post-mortem to see if there's any evidence as to the cause of death, which there may not be.
No, I mean, the cause of death would be very hard to determine after that amount of time. Obviously, the decomposition occurs. Usually the best time to get a sort of determination will be when, directly after that, when before decomposition occurs.
Well, I think the organs tell a lot.
They do, and obviously marks on skin or anything like that, none of that will be available on this occasion. So not to be too grim about it, but it will become a lot more difficult after that amount of time. Then they presumably will look further into other aspects of how this occurred. check all statements that have happened. But yeah, it's only in some ways it's only the beginning of a lengthy investigation. Obviously, what we know is that this remained a missing persons investigation up until this point. It had been given what's called the resources of a homicide investigation, but it wasn't a homicide investigation formally. So the resources of a homicide investigation obviously would be far greater than somebody who goes missing. So yeah, the passage of time, of course, will tell a lot, but I'd say there'd be a lot of painstaking things to go through.
Well, clearly the information from the mother as to where the child was has been proved to be correct, which will be another thing that was the truth, where the body was. How it got there, how the child died now is going to be something that will be definitely examined in full. I suppose we should finish on, just for the moment, because we will be coming back to the story, to say the Gardaí are appealing to anyone with information in relation to the death of Daniel to contact the investigation team at Swords Garda Station at 01 666 4700 or the Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111, or any member of an Garda Síochána. And I'm sure absolutely everybody in the country would like some answers to this.
Thanks, Nicola.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.